my advice would be aggressive with growing that pre-approval limit so that you don't have to say, okay, guy in the field doing my inspection, let's pause. Let's leave that issue there. Let's go back, get approval, and come back and do it. The productivity comes from how can we grow our pre-approval limit to match what the system issue, kind of recurring issues are.
Welcome to The Roots of Success, the premier landscapers podcast that brings you the latest tips and strategies for successful landscape business. I'm Jim Calley, one of the principals and coaches of McFarland Stanford. Jason New and I started McFarland Stanford to coach landscape businesses after years in the industry ourselves. Now, more than 10 years since we began, McFarland has a deep bench of coaches and subject matter experts who work with our clients on very specific issues of business. Whether you're struggling with people, profits, or just day-to-day challenges, our coaches and guests have the real-world experience and practical advice to help you build a thriving and profitable landscape business.
All right, good afternoon. This is Chris Psencik with McFarland Stanford. Excited that you're going to be able to join us today for our Roots of Success podcast. I'm very excited to have Lex Mason from Weathermatic with us here today. I know Lex and I have got a lot of really cool, fun stuff that we're looking at for 2026 as he and I have been looking at what the year is going to have in store for us this year, what some of the successes we had last year, and ways that you can be improving your business as we kind of work through our conversation today. And so as we get things started, Lex, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Fun to be here.
I always enjoy getting to do these in person. I know you and I don't live far apart from each other. Your office is down the street from my house, so it's really nice we get to get together in Dallas and take care of this. So Lex, for those of you listening who don't know Lex, I'd love if you just share a little bit. Lex, your dad, obviously, you guys bought Weathermatic years ago. Give us a quick little synopsis history, where Weathermatic's come from, where you guys are today, how you got involved with the business.
Yeah, so 80-year overnight success story, effectively. So Weathermatic actually started in Dallas, Texas as a landscape irrigation installation company. So primarily servicing Highland Park, Preston Hollow, those original kind of built homes. And the founding family ultimately decided, hey, we can't get good parts, so let's put our engineering degrees to work and go build our own. And so that was the genesis of Weathermatic. So I've been involved since I could pretty much walk, was my kind of first day. And fortunate enough to hold nearly every role within the company other than a finance role. And so from there, really kind of led the charge on bringing connected technologies and software as a service into the landscape and irrigation world. So that's how we exist today. We service about 400 predominantly landscape maintenance, commercial and high-end residential landscape maintenance companies to help them grow and operate a world-class irrigation division. So that's what we are today.
So tell me a little bit more, as you think about the training aspect, you talk about the service advisors and how they're able to connect. If I'm a landscape business owner and I am doing landscape installations, I'm installing these SmartLink controllers, and I'm not feeling like my team is maximizing that value of that SmartLink controller, how do I solve that? What do I do first? Where do I go? What is your team, and how are they going to help me get to those answers?
Yeah, the first thing that our team really focuses on, because again, like all of this comes down to dollars and cents. Like at the end of the day, the water savings, the water management part of it, it really is the cherry on top of what we do. It used to be the foundation, but now with the state of the labor crisis, how landscape companies are being forced to adopt technology in order to keep labor hour production with where it is today, we focus more on the operational processes of that division of the company. So often your most seasoned, skilled troubleshooter is elevated into the management and P&L owner of the irrigation division.
Yep.
You wouldn't do that with any other division of a landscape company, certainly not any other division of a normal company. Let's put the person who knows how to troubleshoot wire and cut pipe and glue, and let's hand them a P&L. Let's hand them 6 people to manage. And so we start really with what are the core processes like inspections, scheduling inspections, so routing, completing inspections, what's the most efficient, productive way to do that on site, identifying repair opportunities, and then really the workflow to go from once an issue is identified in the field, right? We have a piece of software that helps with that. how does that flow through the back end of the company, all the way through into your Element, into your Aspire, into your Include, QuickBooks, whatever it may be. And so we've built out a lot of those APIs or kind of importability to go from field to billing without human interaction, without somebody touching it, just a smooth workflow all the way through. And so when someone's feeling like, hey, I'm not getting enough out of this, like, we've built an implementation team of people who have run $10 million plus just irrigation departments, who we put on an airplane or we drive out to you, get in the weeds with you, and build a plan to take you from where you are to where you should be, which kind of our golden metric is a 20% penetration rate. Like, that is that golden metric that for anybody who's listening in and going, hey, where do I stack up in the grand scheme of things? Is my irrigation repair department producing 20% of the revenue that my contract maintenance is billing?
Okay.
If you're there, then you know that you're doing a lot of things really well. Still some juice to squeeze out of the lemon, and we can talk more about productivity and efficiency and those things, how to use the tools better to drive down labor. But ultimately, that's that golden metric that if you track that, if you monitor it, just like you track enhancement pin rate and attachment rate over here, right? You got to look at irrigation the same way to be your health metric.
So I love that, because I love ratios. I love metrics. For those of you who've had the opportunity to hear me teach and talk about enhancement ratios, what we like to see in maintenance portfolios, I don't even factor in the 20% for the irrigation. So when you're saying that, so if I've got a $10,000 maintenance portfolio, then I'm expecting $2,000 of that could potentially be irrigation repair revenue. Okay.
Should, because you got to think about this too. These are plastic components that are buried underground, that bake out in the sun all day, that have usually 2 to 3 to 4 on and offs, right, per week.
Yep.
So it's high wear and tear. So think more about, hey, how frequently do I change my tires, rotate my tires, change my oil, change my windshield wiper blades? These are equal to that, right? And so these are not put it in, set it, forget it, leave it alone. These items are meant to degrade in sunlight. Physically, the plastic is engineered that over a 7 to 10 year life cycle, they break down in the best environments. Like, they start breaking down. Most of the time, they start breaking down earlier than that. And so
that's not even counting the guy that just clipped the top of
that
a 6-inch
over it, right?
spray head when
That's the extra. So it's a wear and tear, meant to be done item. And so many times, Chris, when we walk in and we do our initial kind of partner evaluation, try to help one of my favorite things to do is like look under the hood of a potential business who's going, I thought y'all just made controllers, or I thought you just try to sell this. It's like, no, before we figure out if we can work together, like, we need to look and see how is this division physically operating today? What are you doing financially? What are you doing operationally? And really get under the hood and understand what's going on. And so often they have a group of really talented irrigation managers, irrigation technicians that like know what to do, that want to service the client, that want to do good work, but everything outside of that is just a cluster.
Yeah.
There's not a defined process. There's not a, hey, we go to A, then we go to B, then we go to C.
Yeah.
Nothing's automated. And so we're just heaping on this burden of manual work onto these incredibly valuable team members.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of stuff that gets us fired up, that we love to dig in and discover where can technology make that person's life and job easier to help with retention. And then two, most of the time those repairs that are threatening to lose you a contract are getting done. Whether or not they're getting billed is a completely different issue. So it's all of those things, and we're just the crazy people that obsess over just that job function. But the revenue implication, the margin implication, if you do it right, is like bolting on a second enhancement division with a captive group of customers.
Yeah.
We don't have to go knock on any more doors. We don't have to go sell any more work.
Yeah.
We have a captive group of clients that frankly want the repair work to be done. We just got to serve that up to them as labor efficiently as possible.
Yeah. I'll never forget, the only reason we get fired in Texas for maintenance is because the irrigation went down and broke and something died, or we didn't communicate it, right? Mm-hmm. And so this talks to a lot about that. I love that 20% number. Like if there's any homework here for anybody that's listening today, I would say you as a business owner or you as an irrigation division manager, go quickly look at your maintenance portfolio. If I've got $1 million worth of maintenance and I look at that 20% number, I could be producing $200,000 in irrigation repairs and revenue.
You got it.
I know we teach a lot to getting pre-approvals, right? And just building that into your annual contract expense. That's something that I've had a lot of experience doing.
And I can't tell you, Chris, how many times that pre-approval thing, people will hear that and be like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me go back and do it. And I think now with a lot of help from y'all's coaching, many have done that. But I can't tell you how many times I walk into a contract, we look at something, go, oh, yeah, we have pre-approvals. Okay, well, you have $5,000 jobs, you have $10,000 jobs, and you have a couple $250,000 annual contracts. What's your pre-approval? Oh, it's $500 a month on each one.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money.
Okay, so sizing pre-approvals is highly important, making sure that we are tailoring. Okay, a pre-approval is not a one thing fits all deal. Like sizing that pre-approval based on the size of the contract is let's say the minimum that we got to do to make sure that we're square.
Yeah.
So.
And I look at that too as like if an average irrigation per hour price is what, $125 an hour, $250 an hour pre-approval, we're talking about that's 1 to 2 heads that we can fix.
Yeah, that's a repair and a half.
Yeah, so
maybe.
Like, what have I just solved? I've solved the issue of an irrigation head got busted. We've got a geyser.
Yeah.
I don't have to go ask for it. I don't have to wait for the customer. I photograph it. I fix it. I bill it. It's done. This is the $200,000 we're trying to get to. That's that 20% we're trying to grab.
Oh, and so often, right, we obsess on, okay, I got to get my extra 3% increase this year on base maintenance, but we don't look at or talk about adjusting our pre-approval limits.
Yep. That
pre-approval limit, well, number one, it's less elastic than base contract maintenance, right? There's more flexibility. There's less eyeballs on that number. And my advice would be aggressive with growing that pre-approval limit so that you don't have to say, okay, guy in the field doing my inspection, let's pause. Let's leave that issue there. Let's go back, get approval, then come back and do it. Like the productivity comes from how can we grow our pre-approval limit to match what the system issue kind of recurring issues are. How do we bump it up to that number so I can keep my guys just identifying the problem, fixing the problem, billing the problem, moving on, versus this seeking approval and going back and forth and speed to lead the deal.
Yeah. And I can tell you just from our recruiting side, anytime somebody calls us asking for an irrigation tech, we're like, stand in line. Like, these guys are not just sitting on the shelf waiting for jobs, right? They're hard to find. They're super technical. And so when you have those good ones, this is how we maximize that value. So I remember at SmartCon last year when we were together at SmartCon, you guys went into the irrigation audit and inspection.
Yeah.
I would love if you talk a little bit more. You have some tremendous features inside your controller. I use it at my house. I use it on a regular basis. Talk a little bit more about where people are capitalizing on that and how they're maximizing their value on those audits and inspections and how that kind of relates to your system. And then where people are not using it, ineffectively using it, and just leaving those opportunities to chance when they could be capitalizing on those inspections.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at first it starts with, hey, what kind of scope do you have built into your contract? And so that's really where our team starts, is that we look over your shoulder and advise on, many people have a startup and a shutdown. It's going, okay, you're running around like crazy at start out time just trying to get everything turned on and fix like what's broken right then, and then you wait till the very end, you shut it off, you wait for next year. So you're really only getting one sweep through everything and those are the guys operating in the 3 to 5% kind of penetration rate range. They're only really doing one round of repairs a year. Now here in Texas, right, and many kind of certainly southwestern states, but even Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, they've really moved more towards a monthly inspection, and it's been incredibly profitable, number one. Two, the landscape company themselves, giving themselves repair opportunities every month versus once a season. That should speak volumes. So one is, what does your contract look like? And how can we work, if not overnight, then over a season or two, to get you to a monthly inspection routine of every month of growing season? So that's number one that we look at. Number two, really is the inspection tool. And so not every single site is a perfect fit for our controller technology.
Yep.
There's still some 2-wire things. There's still some battery-operated solar things that operate standalone. So like our typical partner converts about 80% of their portfolio, on average 80 to 90% to SmartLink. But there's always going to be 5, 10, 15% of sites that just aren't a fit or so crazy expensive to try to retrofit that it doesn't work. But that doesn't stop them from using our inspection and proposal software.
Yep.
And so that's the beauty of this thing, is that now every single site can be inspected identically. We have dashboards that help you track, okay, how many am I supposed to get done this month? Where am I related to that? And where am I related to my quarterly goal?
That's an easy thing to manage.
Very easy thing to manage. And my favorite dashboard is who's doing the most inspections.
Yep.
I can put it up there on the screen. So who's leading the charge, right?
Yep. So when we talk about rolling these things out, Lex, you just nailed it, because everything is about how do we manage, how do we check, how do we inspect what we expect, how do we follow up on these things. This is that tool that can help you as a maintenance division manager, an irrigation manager, to ensure that these properties are being checked, are being inspected,
100%.
are being serviced, so that we can capitalize on that 20%.
Yeah, you can't manage what you can't measure. And so that was like number one. After we built the tool itself, it's okay, now how do we put that tool in the hands of our partners to be able to hold people accountable? So that's really second, is every inspection is done the same way. I'm not doing some in Aspire and some in SmartLink and some on a yellow legal pad, or some that I remember and come back. And the nightmare that happens, and still I know it's 2026 now, which is crazy, but the number of offices that we walk into, and the irrigation manager at the end of the day has a stack of check sheets this thick on his desk.
Yep.
And so your most talented, should be highest producing labor resource at your company is sitting typing in irrigation inspection reports and translating those. Like, that blows my mind. But every month we talk to a couple people, that's still what's happening.
I see it all the time.
Yeah, so streamline that. And then finally, the easy button API or import based from, once that inspection's complete, how can I dump it straight into my Aspire, my LMN, my QuickBooks application without having to retype, rekey anything? And it's like, that's really, if you want to know what world-class looks like, it's 100% digital, and it's no redundant typing or kind of transcribing notes. Like, that's what it looks like, and it's straight into your billing tool.
Yep.
Whether you have to seek approval on that or whether you can bill it straight to the client. Like, that's what world-class looks like. One other thing that we've bolted on this year that we've seen like drive a massive impact is Site One and a couple of these other groups came out with dumping your entire parts catalog into your Aspire, into your Element instance, right? And so overnight they wake up and there's 30,000 SKUs that are dumped in there that you might use 1,300 of them, but you're really only using a smaller number of those. And so the concept there is we've gone through and helped nearly every one of our partners build repair kits. Mm-hmm. So the same thing that the automotive industry did a decade or more ago about, hey, when we do a transmission, we're not quoting 42 different SKUs that go into doing that transmission replacement.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that just pushes the burden onto the technician to rebuild that quote every single time.
Yep.
So we've gone through and identified, hey, these are the 80 most common, frequently repair issues that come up. So the 80-20 rule, right? Yep. So 80% of the time you can click one button and it's pre-burdened with labor. It's pre-burdened with all the parts you could possibly need. And again, 99% of the time they're making out ahead of it because they might not use all the parts in the kits. But the streamline, the efficiency, and you can always go back and add an extra labor hour or add an extra part or piece as needed. But that moving to kit pricing and streamlining that field function of not having to itemize every single repair component every time I have the same spray head replacement needed or the same valve replacement needed, pre-building those kits has saved hundreds of hours for each of our partners this year alone. So it's a game changer. So those are kind of the four things.
Not even talking about the work-life balance you've just caused your irrigation tech that's doesn't want to sit on a computer, doesn't want to sit on a laptop. Yeah. No, it's that whole take a step backwards to take a step forward thing. Mm-hmm. So what is ahead for 2026? When you guys are looking 2026, when you're looking at 27, 28, challenges that are coming, things you guys want to solve. What's coming down the pipe for Weathermatic?
There's so much AI. There's so much new softwares and new tools and new features. Maybe this is an old school take, but what we are focused on at Weathermatic this year, more than let's layer on 15 new AI tools or this or that, it is training our top performers. Like, we are focused on helping develop our middle managers. Now, we're using technology and we're using AI to do it, but AI is not the goal.
Yep.
The goal is to level up our best contributors and start to grow up those that are underneath them. And so we are using and deploying tools and AI role-playing tools and kind of contract proposal bid tools that can come in and help put together things that used to take our admin staff an hour or two to put together. So AI is the complement to what we're doing, but we are staying focused on like the big needle movers. How do we turn C performers into B performers?
Yep.
How do we turn green coaches, people who have maybe worked at an irrigation division that we've brought on and hired, how are we training them up to go and advise, frankly, other companies that many of them can't afford a full-time dedicated division manager for their irrigation department? And so training and education and leveling up that's what we're focused on internally. And then from a product perspective, this is what will blow your mind. The number of irrigation or landscape industry manufacturers, kind of technology manufacturers that have come and gone because they outpace their clients. They outpace their customers. They over-engineer something that becomes unusable.
Yeah.
And so I'm really passionate about like keeping it simple.
Yeah.
How do we reduce labor hours? How do we pull hours out of manual processes, automate them, streamline them through processes? But Chris, the number of companies in our space that have come and gone because they've over-engineered their platform, they made it too difficult to where it's now not a easy button, it becomes a burden. So we're passionate about making SmartLink easier and more accessible, whether you're doing $100 million and you have all the resources in the world, or whether you're an owner-operator that's doing $1 million and you're feeling like you're wearing 45 different hats. We want to make our platform and our people accessible to everyone from $1 million to $100 million. That's what we're focused on this year, and where I feel like many people are jumping onto let's do technology for technology's sake versus what does the business need, and then how can I bring in supplementary support to help aid that goal.
Yeah. But it's been interesting as we've gone through this exercise at McFarland Stanford, as I go through this exercise with a lot of my clients, we look at your software as a sales cost. Like, how much are you as a business spending on all of these various applications, right? And what does that relate to what you're producing? What does that relate to your team members and what they're producing? Yeah. Because these costs as a company for all of our clients have gone up so exponentially. And I think a lot of people don't look at it. People don't look at it in their own personal life. When we talk about that in all of our coaching, when we talk about that with you, so that's why I always come back to that 20%. Like, that is true capitalization of a resource, right? So like, what good is the technology if you buy that and it sits in your closet? Yeah. What good is the technology if your account managers are hanging on the wall, but they're not actually using the things that allow you to make more money as an organization, right? Yeah. So like, I think too often people want to blame the software or blame the technology. And I always say like, well, the software is only as good as the user, right? Doesn't matter if I'm using a landscape management software. If I'm only using 25% of it and I should be using 75% of it, don't expect to capitalize that investment. You're wasting your money, right? And I say the same thing to all my irrigation technology users, right? Like, hey, if you're going to make the investment, then you have to be willing to invest the time, the effort, and the energy to train, to properly roll out, and to maximize how you're going to manage this moving forward so you can realize that revenue, because it's there. We see it on so many. I always brag on Jeffrey Johns at Coastal Greening and what they've been able to do to capitalize on the investment. And they see that. And I know he's in his teams and his sons are in one of my peer groups, and I get to talk to them a lot to see how they're capitalizing that investment as we're rolling that with all of our ACE peer groups, which is why this is such an important resource for us.
Well, One other point I'll make there, I think that like champion development is so critical within landscape companies, particularly, right? Not everything can just fall onto the back of the owner to go and do.
Yeah,
and so
it's not possible.
A lot of people that are listening in here, right, they're thinking about how do I grow my career? How do I advance? How do I get more opportunity at this company, or how do I get more opportunity on the outside? And so I would encourage everybody that if you're looking for more, if you're looking for growth, you've got to go and take it.
Yeah.
You got to go and volunteer. So if you're sitting on your hands waiting for a promotion, if you're waiting for the next thing to come along, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
And so put yourself in a position to champion an initiative that can make an impact, because you have no idea what that can do for you on the leadership track, on the other outside opportunities kind of track. So if you're someone it's a new year, everyone's making their resolutions, right? Yep. We're thinking about, well, hey, where am I in my job? What's my next thing? Being a champion of an initiative is a wonderful first step to go and create your own opportunities versus sitting and wait for something to be. So whether it's our thing or something different, we're rolling EOS internally now with Weathermatic. That's been incredible. My champion there, it was a wonderful thing to have. We're internally sourcing for a champion for our training and development program too. And so that champion development, go out, take that leap, because the opportunities that come out of the opportunities that we provided to people who have stood up and become champions internally with our org have grown much faster in the organization than those who kind of wait.
Yeah. And the excuses are nominal at this point. Like it's all there. The information's all online. You can find all this stuff. You want to become the expert, you can become the expert relatively quickly at this point. Lex, I'd love if you'd share a little bit. As you travel all over the country. You and I see each other in various parts of the country.
More out of state than in state, I think.
It's amazing when I realize all the places we get to go, all the businesses we get to see, the challenges we get to experience. From your lens, what are some of the biggest challenges coming to the landscape industry, to landscape business owners, to landscape irrigation technicians in 2026?
Yeah, I think that your most valuable asset is not time, it's focus. And so flipping through LM Magazine or L&L Magazine and saying, hey, I'm going to go do all these 16 things. Like, doing one thing to excellence is going to yield so much more impact than trying to do 16 things. And so I think what always happens in these kind of technology innovation cycles is that you can get feeling left behind. You can get feeling like you're not moving fast enough. And so then the reaction to that is, let's go do everything. We got to go do an ops system. We got to do a GPS system. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to go hire and launch our recruiting initiative. The beauty of where EOS, I think, brings our focus in is it's 2 or 3 rocks. It's 2 or 3 big things that we want to accomplish like this quarter and have the entire leadership team focused on those. And so what I think is going to sneak up on some companies that, frankly, many are behind the 8 ball, that have not implemented technology nearly at the pace that they're going to have to maintain and like preserve margin. There's going to be some pain. There's going to be some pain for those who have waited, who have said, no, we're doing it good enough right now. And so my advice to them, because I've made the wrong decision here in years past, and I think, unfortunately, I've had to learn that lesson more than once, is like sink your teeth into 1 or 2 highly valuable things and rally the team around them.
Yep.
And develop that champion, but make it publicly known within the organization, this is the thing we're focused on changing for this quarter, and stay dedicated to it.
And I think what I hear out of that is it's creating alignment, right? Yeah. Like, so it's aligning you as an owner. What's your vision? Where do you want to go? But more importantly, how do I get my team engaged in what that solution looks like? You know, like, I work with a lot of business owners who have a great vision and talk a lot about what they want to do. And yeah, we love this. We want to do this. We're going to do it. And then I get to talk to the guys down a little bit lower that are delivering on the service. And all I hear is the challenges. Hey, here's all the roadblocks. And where does it go? It stops right there.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, if your team's not engaged with it, and you can't get them engaged with it, nothing's going to happen and nothing's going to change. So yeah, I think it really is that alignment on focus. It's alignment on direction, and it's taking those small bite-sized chunks of how we address that and how we go after that. Because if the guy in the field that's driving the truck and identifying the repair isn't bought in on what that alignment and what that vision looks like, it's not going to happen, right? And so how do we get them engaged? How do we get them involved? How do we find ways to educate them? You and I teach a lot on consultative sales. I'm a huge proponent of consultative. I'm sitting here looking at the book you have on the table right here. One of my favorite books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. What is it talking about? It's talking about how you educate a customer. It's talking about how you educate your teams and your environment, because you're always selling. Either you're selling your vision, or you're selling a product, or you're selling a service. You're always selling something, but you have to have that alignment. You have to have that engagement. You have to have that ability to get people involved in the process if you're actually going to be able to deliver as an organization.
Absolutely.
I know you have your big event coming up in February at SmartCon.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit, what can we expect from SmartCon in 2026 in San Antonio?
Yeah, so this is be our 5th year of hosting SmartCon. So the first year it was hey, we had all of our clients, they wanted a network. They wanted to find who are the leading group of individuals who are taking landscape irrigation seriously, and how can we create an environment to learn from each other. So very much the power of the peer group, right? It is, I have witnessed it firsthand. I'm such a believer in it because it has done wonderful things for our business and it's helped our partners. So SmartCon is really about a couple things. One, it is networking. It is problem solving. How are you solving this problem? Hey, what did you do when this happened? How are you maximizing the return? And we are going to be putting the elite of our partners up on stage to share their best practices and how they're actually getting it done.
Mind you, this is where I went and learned about irrigation inspections and audits last year.
Yeah.
I learned it there, and I immediately went back and was like, hey, Giuseppe, I didn't do this before.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this at home.
100%. Yeah. And so we want to go and cherry pick those who we believe are doing it the absolute best, and we want to put them on stage in front of a couple hundred people and coach and teach them on how they can level up. 2, we're doing a broader scope into leadership development this year as well. So while we've got the captive audience here at this event, we want to bring people in that can help you think differently about marketing, think differently about sales, think differently about operations. And so we've really boiled our sessions down into people, process, and technology is the theme that you'll see us run through. But with irrigation, still, we believe it is the largest untapped profit center for the average landscape business. We are all in on doing everything we need to do to help you transform that into being world-class. So that's what SmartCon's about. We've got a couple fun guests. So we're going to have a concert at the Alamo outdoors. So that's going to be a heck of a good time.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, we're going to be giving away some incredible raffles, and we might even have a surprise keynote guest speaker, which we'll announce here pretty soon.
And no pressure to some of our clients down in Hondo, Texas. I know they're the ones doing all the landscape out there.
Come on.
But we're very excited to see it and see the progress that they've been making out there.
It better look good, or I'm going to call Jonathan.
I've been working with Jonathan a while. I'm excited to see this in person and actually get to see what we're working with there. We're going to throw some arrowheads in the dirt and see what we can figure out.
I just want to make sure, I'm sure Jonathan will do it, but I want to make sure there's a weather station hanging on the Alamo somewhere. So Jonathan, we need to make that happen.
I love it. So I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. So a couple key things I just want to make sure we address. So one, that 20%. I teach ratios a lot because it helps us create metrics and KPIs that we can drive our teams to. So when you talk about that 20% of a maintenance portfolio could be irrigation repairs or should be irrigation repairs, take time, go look at those numbers for your organizations, see what those numbers are, and if that raises some red flags, which it should, then you need to make that phone call. And you need to have some questions, because those are good questions to be asking your team that we can capitalize on today. And then you talk about what to stop doing. Stop just sending people to sites and just expecting them to one size fits all, identify, price, fix. Let's align where our team members are going. Let's align what they're doing. Let's align how they want to execute so we can maximize what those values are.
Roles and responsibilities.
Get somebody out there doing the inspections, and then let's have a team that's able to price and escalate those prices to customers quickly so that we can maximize those values. And then education and training. If you don't feel like you're doing it as good as you should be, and I would probably say a large majority are not, then ask questions. That's what your team is here for. I love the fact that you said you got a 2-to-1 in your office of people who are training versus selling. They're not just selling. They're there to train and make you better at what you're doing, because you understand the consultative side is if I make you better at what you're doing, you will naturally buy more product. That's just, that's consultative sales 101. So how do we get better at what we're doing? How do we train our team members so they get better? Use Weathermatic, use their team, use their resources. I know we're super excited to have you guys out at Grow here in about a month. We're excited to be with you at SmartCon. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, tell us, as we were finishing up here today, you and I just finished our Cocktails for a Cause.
Yeah.
At, what was that? That was NALP.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so another successful year on that. I know
great.
we've been partnering with you guys on that for years. I know you guys are super passionate, something that we're very passionate about to help support. Why don't you just give us a quick, where we stand on that? How did we do on that last year? What are the goals for this year?
Yeah, we had a phenomenal showing not this year, but the prior year was really special because it was in memoriam Brody Bruner, a dear friend of ours that we lost. And so that was a really special event. And so this year we had a lot of pressure to really go, hey, how do we continue on making Cocktails for a Cause actually make an impact? And so this year you got to experience the water walk. So physically, we had our guests lift and feel what the men, women, and children in the developing world physically feel what they have to go through every day to walk. I think it's 4.5 miles on average every day just to get clean water with 2 full 5-gallon jerry cans, over 40 pounds of water. And so that was surreal. We got more feedback and input about, we had no idea this is actually what's going on. That was awesome. And we raised enough money to fully fund 4 water wells at the event itself, which is amazing.
I love it.
And we'll do something special at Grow as well, which we're really excited about again. But yeah, save water, give life is our mission. And it's when you feel what those people go through when they don't have clean drinking water, you can't not do anything about it.
Yep. It's the things we take for granted.
100%.
So love that. I always want to make sure that we put that in there so we can support you guys.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in learning more, certainly reach out. I know Lex and his team would love to have you involved with that if you want to start helping plant some wells down in South America as well. So, Lex, thank you for your time today. Great getting to do this in person. Great to see you.
Always. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, Lex.